Episode 18.
Here we are.
Good morning.
Not much aviation or travel news this week, eh, guys?
No, nothing.
Nothing of significance.
Nothing's
What are you
happening.
talking about? The borders are going to open.
Serious?
1st of October, boys. Didn't you miss our esteemed leaders, my fellow Africans of the South speech the night before last? Huh?
But then doesn't the other esteemed leader pop in a couple of days later and cancel it all?
I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm your esteemed leader.
I'm talking about the other esteemed leader.
Yeah, borders open. Great news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we don't know who's going to be on that list of countries or block countries.
Not yet.
But probably US, Italy, UK. So it's a bit of an African adventure, this one, I think.
Yeah, the whole of Europe is kind of going backwards at the moment, so I'm not sure anything out of Europe is going to be allowed. But as long as Africa opens up, that's really what we're looking for now.
That's the start. That's all we wanted.
Yep.
Was, just open it up that much, let something start happening so that the economy can pick itself up again.
Yeah, and are there any African countries that'll be on that block list? I'm not too sure.
I can't imagine any. Most of the African countries are opening up 1st of October as well. Mauritius is due for the 1st of October.
Yeah.
Nigeria, Kenya.
Wow.
Seems like majority of, at least a large portion of sub-Saharan Africa is going to be open.
Yeah, it's great news, and obviously there's a ripple effect. Once the borders are open, the tourism side starts picking up, and then the demand for more flights picks up, so it keeps going. Locally, I booked a ticket to Cape Town next week to go see my mom and my sister, which is quite cool.
That's awesome.
But still very cheap tickets on Fly Safair, and I couldn't exactly get the flight I wanted. The two of the flights were full already, and that's for next week Saturday. And to return back midweek, the two early morning flights were full. So it's very good news. I mean, the people are flying.
That's fantastic. I saw Airlink are also advertising a special at the moment, starting from $7.99 a ticket to Cape Town. So
that's not bad at all.
It's not bad. Obviously, a clear indication that the competition is quite big out there right now, because it's between Airlink, Safair, and Semi at the moment. And a little bit of Mango doing a triangle, but yeah, at least it's good news that the flights are full.
Yeah, flights are full, and still encouraging people to go and travel, support domestically now while you can, before the prices shoot up. But I'm not so sure, Brett. Do you reckon the prices are going to skyrocket as soon as these borders open? It's going to take a while.
I can't see that happening. I really cannot. I think the airlines are in a recovery phase at this stage, so pushing those rates up, the numbers are going to reduce. Guys are not going to fly with it if it becomes ridiculous. But no, I think the guys they'll keep it reasonable, because they want occupancy. That's what they want. They want those planes full.
Yeah, I don't think when the borders open, it's going to be anything like the migration in the Serengeti. It's going to be a slow recovery. But
look, the airlines are doing. They're having to be a lot more clever now. I mean, Singapore, we know all the troubles over there, but with the airlines, but they've blocked out first class, so you cannot fly first class whatsoever. So they've blocked out first class seats. You can't even book one, even if you wanted to. So they're realizing that they've got to walk away from those portions of a sector that doesn't generate enough cash for them.
That's crazy, because usually I think that's what makes money for the airlines is the business and first class seats, not necessarily all the economy class.
Yeah.
Strange.
I don't know if they're planning on switching first class out into more of a business class layout. I don't know. Get more people in. Don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. The whole models I'm sure it's going to change. There's a big demand for obviously low cost flying, but even the low cost carriers, they're not advertising low cost. It's kind of it's a low-cost carrier, but the whole broadcasting of or advertising of come fly with us, we low cost, doesn't really exist at the moment. So maybe there's a shift there as well. Locally, I saw Elmar Conradi posted something on LinkedIn yesterday. Did you see that 2019 versus 2020, the domestic travelers through AXA airports, that graph? Yeah. There's still a hell of a long way to go. And that's just domestically. Yeah. Talking of CEOs, I didn't read the whole report because you had to subscribe and I didn't want to. But exclusive report on News 24. Action against ex-Mango CEO Nico Bezuidenhout after nepotism allegations.
Okay, that's
I didn't see
a
that
bit of a blow.
Well, I don't know what it's about. It's probably a bunch of rubbish, but it's on News 24, so it's definitely a bunch of rubbish. But it's
who listens to the news? Who listens to the radio nowadays? It's podcast. That's it.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's about. The CEO of Ethiopian, he's quite bullish about this involvement in SAA, saying that if the opportunity's there, they would be stupid not to take it. They're capable of doing it, and that's probably going to happen. I don't know what you think, Ryan, but I think Ethiopians are new.
I can see it going that way, and it's probably not a bad thing. I mean, look at what they've done with that airline in a country like Ethiopia. I mean, can you imagine what those guys and their influence and experience and expertise could do for an airline like SAA, or the new SAA, or whatever it will be? I think it could be a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. They tops in Africa, there's no doubt about that.
And we know that the whole of Africa is, majority of the African countries have signed up for the single Africa air transport market. Yeah. So
like open skies
it's
policy.
Open skies, so the connectivity is going to be a hell of a lot better. Obviously there's going to be some settling down of pricing. I can't imagine they can all collude, but maybe they are going to if it's an approved thing. It's going to make a big difference to travel within Africa, that's for sure.
I think they're going to give Emirates a good run for their money, because that's going to become the new hub essentially. And it's a lot more convenient for South Africans who want to travel via a hub to Europe, for instance. You know, Addis is closer, so why go all the way to Dubai? I'm sure the tickets are going to cost less. And they just whacked up that brand new terminal in Addis, which is nice, it's new, it's comfy, it's modern. So
there's no issue at all flying through Addis.
No.
A lot of people are probably a bit wary of it, but as you say, brand new terminal, very good airline. And that's probably going to be the way South Africans get used to going into Europe, and
But realistically, we live in Africa. Africa's not like it was 20 years ago. It's developing, and it's developing quickly. Yeah. So I think we all need to get used to doing something like that, shooting to Addis instead of Dubai. Makes sense.
Definitely. With these borders being open, so the rule, by the looks of it, you need to present a negative COVID-19 test not older than 72 hours from your time of departure.
Yeah.
Then when you get here, no quarantine.
Yeah, when you get here, you'll be screened. If you show symptoms or indicate that you are going to show a positive test, then they'll whack you into quarantine, which you have to pay for by yourself, so at your own expense. But I mean,
wonder where that quarantine is. Is it like going to be certain places all around the country, or well, I suppose it's only really Joburg, Cape Town, and Durban. All right, we'll see. IATA still pushing the hashtag We Are Aviation. They're very vocal at the moment, IATA, about really trying to push government support to get involved in this whole thing. They say that this is not just going to recover by itself. The governments have to jump on board and start supporting. So right from the beginning, IATA have been very pro supporting the airlines. It only really happened properly in the States. There was that big stimulus package in the States for the airlines, and it didn't happen in the UK. And have you seen that the constant negative aviation news out of the UK is very concerning. BA, they eyeing a deal at the moment, fire and rehire policy. The demand is so low, I think 25% of its normal operations. They're looking at firing everyone and rehiring everyone. But the threat is always there when it comes to that. You're not rehired until you're rehired. So they've got to get the unions to agree with that. Like I said, 25%. On a positive note, and this might be a trend, and I think it's worth chatting about, Thomas Cook, they back in business.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
They back in business. It's only online.
Okay.
So it's an online only travel company, but it's quite a big thing, and wonder if that trend will continue. This whole pandemic has brought the travel agents back into business.
Yeah.
It's definitely brought them back into business. The 9 out of 10 people going overseas or even domestically use things like Booking.com, and the travel agents were being hit quite hard. Obviously now, and the reason is, if there's a law change or something happens while you're overseas, you can pick up the phone your travel agent and say, well, I'm stuck here, can you organize my return? It's just nice to have that sort of reassurance. So maybe one of the industries that is going to pick up again are the travel agents, which is great.
Years ago, I used Booking.com, I did book my flights online, I did everything. Then I, for an obscure reason, I can't remember why, started using a travel agent. And the ease of using the travel agent was unbelievable. I delivered my passport, they sorted out visas, they sort everything out. They let you know this is what your issues were. I was stuck in Mauritius when SAA cancelled all those flights. There's one time I didn't like my travel agent because they got me on a flight back a day early. I could have got stuck there another week quite happily. But they were on the ball. They'd send me messages. This is what we can do. What do you want to do? It was an absolute breeze using them.
I think it's going to be vital to have those people around because they're going to be way more au fait now with all the new rules.
And it's constantly changing.
Exactly. They stay on top of this info all the time. For you now to go and book your tickets, say you want to go to Turkey or whatever the case may be, to go and research all that information. What are the requirements now? Just pick up the phone, speak to a travel agent, get your answers just like that.
Yeah, it's good news. At least it's one sector of the industry that's going to be needed and picking up. And obviously this thing with Thomas Cook is indication of that. Some other cool news. You guys know David Blaine.
Yeah.
Did you see what he did with the balloons?
That was a classic. I sat and waited for that launch to happen.
Up to 25,000 feet with helium balloons. I don't know what the point of that was. But the coolest thing about
that was just a childhood dream of his.
Yeah.
The coolest thing was he had an ADS-B transponder.
Yeah. Yes. You follow him on like flight radar and all that kind of stuff.
25,000 feet.
But he's been doing that kind of stuff for a while because I was watching I think it was the interview with Joe Rogan where they were talking about how long he could hold his breath.
Who's that?
Just a bit of competition. Nothing big. Anyway, they were talking about one of his attempts where they went up in an airplane up to 25,000 feet without oxygen, and he held his breath all the way up. It was quite insane. So I think this is where it all stems from. Now he just thought he would do it with balloons.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was a little bit nervous because that right before he launched, he's telling his daughter, I'm doing this for you, and I just thought, oh please, if something goes wrong, she's going to live with that the rest of her life.
And the jetpack guy with a jetpack at 3,000 feet over LAX, did you see that?
No, I didn't see.
Final approach, I think it was American or United. He says to air traffic control, just confirm our traffic off to our right hand side. And there's no traffic there, and the guy came closer, and it was a guy in a jetpack over LAX at 3,000 feet.
No way.
So the air traffic controller said, I don't think so, sir. And then another aircraft said, yep, we can see him, he's there. So
couldn't pick him up.
Yeah, he obviously didn't have a transponder or anything, but they saw him in a jetpack at 3,000 feet, cruising over LAX. That's a classic example of a guy that doesn't want to risk catching COVID in an aircraft. Yeah, I thought that was quite cool.
Oh, that's crazy.
What would you like to fly one of those things?
Yeah, that must be cool. But just some more, we touched on a bit of the international stuff. You see the Chinese big three airlines. Okay, the big three is China Southern, China Eastern, and Air China. Real original names over there. They reporting profits in the third quarter.
It was like you've been saying all along the last couple of weeks, China's back up to, 100% capacity.
Yeah, proper profits. I mean, it's quite amazing.
They've written COVID into the history books already, man.
Oh, good couple of months now.
Yeah.
They've moved on from that. Rest of the world is still swimming in that bath.
Exactly. Have you seen news about this new airline that's going to start up with Gaberone Novik and Global?
Tell me about it.
So they're saying, obviously I got my news from News 24, but it's going to be an Uber-inspired type arrangement. I mean, I can't get my brain around.
What, like an online app?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know how Uber works now. You taxi, order it, comes straight to you. I'm not sure how you're going to do it with airline tickets. I'm going to be interested to see how that works.
So like ride sharing, but fly sharing,
yeah.
And obviously they're going to own the aircraft. But
it's
yeah. Look, we know the concept works. How it works in the aviation world. I'm also struggling to get my head around it.
Especially with all the added regulations now with flying. They're saying, for a domestic flight, you've got to be there at least 2 hours before you travel. So the whole sort of Uber concept of you want to ride right now, you click it and off you go.
I have a lot of urge to go somewhere at the last minute, but seldom am I going to... I know I want to jump on a plane now in the next hour.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. I know Africa World Airlines has launched their app as well now, which was quite innovative for them. The guys are doing unbelievably well.
They're an organized company,
they are
Africa World Airlines.
Organized.
Their marketing is brilliant. They're always engaging with people online, very good. Like you say, they've already gone online. They very well, highly qualified sort of flight deck crew as well. We've trained a few of the guys, and they're all very, very high quality pilots. So I wish them all the best. Definitely one of the leading regional carriers in Africa for sure. Nigeria, they're still on their bit of a warpath with stopping people coming into their country that they're not allowed to go into. So they're doing like a bit of a deal where if you're going to block them, so if we say no to Nigeria coming in, then they're going to do the same to us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier when we were talking about the borders and which countries are going to be blocked. I think it all largely depends on the politics around this.
Unfortunately, that's the biggest problem. If you start having infighting within African countries, I mean, it's just, you're going to go nowhere. I mean, Angola's opened up.
Yeah.
You have to have a test 48 hours prior to arriving. But 48 hours, 72, maybe it'd be good to have a standard. Put something across the board and everyone can adhere to, as opposed to now starting to tit-for-tat scrap and fight. It's crazy.
But at least here in South Africa, they haven't gone I was worried it was going to be this mandatory 2 weeks quarantine.
Yeah.
Which then there's just no point in opening up. That's what they've seen in the UK. I mean, there was an initial spike when it opened up in the UK, and then the minute these quarantines started being announced, it was just a total drop-off. So glad that hasn't happened. And I think the whole 72-hour present a negative COVID test, I think that's fair.
Yeah, exactly.
My concern now, if I go for a COVID test, now I want to fly somewhere. How quickly am I going to get those results?
No, it's Africa. You just buy one.
Oh, okay. Somewhere in Norwood, one of those little shops where you can get your matric certificate, your university degree, your driver's license, and your COVID test all in one.
It's going to be like the temperature scan 36.3.
There we go. You're safe.
Yeah. Let's see. We haven't really spoken about aircraft orders and that on the show. Just out of interest, I looked at in August the Boeing orders. There were 13 of them. 8 clients, but 13 aircraft, 737 Maxes and 777F freighters. Airbus 39 orders, but that was to one client. Compared to August last year, it's less, but at least there were some orders. It's not that bad, and let's hope that continues. Obviously, the demand for the freighters, we got friends flying in Hong Kong freighter airline, and they're doing well. And the freighters the demand is still there, and obviously there's actually less freighter flights happening at the moment, but obviously all that belly space that freight normally finds itself in on the passenger flights, that's not happening. So the freighter airlines are doing quite well. So there's these 777F freighters and that, quite a popular aircraft, and obviously the Max orders. So the Max, at least people are still buying them. But did you see the issues they've now found on the 787?
I was just going to say, Boeing, that poor company just keeps taking hits. I mean, no sooner are they getting over this Max story, and now the 787 is becoming an issue. I think they've grounded 680 787s worldwide.
What's the issue there?
Some sort of a structural issue that they've picked up in the tail section. It doesn't sound like it's a major thing, so there's more precaution around this than anything else, but they need to dig deep and get to the bottom of this before they end up having another Max issue with a world that's got a whole lot of 787s flying around.
But what is the report on cracked windscreens? Just saw a report, and I didn't copy it down, but two 787s or 777s, I think it was 2 777s, have been grounded for cracked windscreens suddenly. The windscreens are
they might all start be getting to that age where you do get the odd windscreen crack. It gives you a hell of a fright when you have one in the aircraft, because it just spreads quickly. But it's not a fatal thing. But they might be getting to that age where they start cracking.
Well, the windscreens have a lifetime.
Sure.
So they gotta be replaced also.
And they go through such a big temperature range that they do end up cracking.
Likelihood of it happening. Yeah.
Brett, something you you're interested in, obviously the whole disruption side and disrupting your life. A guy we had on the show before, Martin Stork, I listened to an interview he had yesterday on YouTube. It was all about disruption, and obviously we all need to disrupt our lives from time to time, and COVID has come along and done that for us. And again, it's just saying, look at the whole situation as an opportunity now to adjust your path, adjust your career path, and start looking at something else. I quite like listening to Martin because he's very, very direct. He said, if you haven't lost your job to COVID, you might lose your job later to drones. So there's this sort of background to it that pilots are still going to be in demand. Aviation is going to pick up, but don't be fooled that the world is changing around you, and you need to look at this as an opportunity to adapt. A lot of the same stuff we've been talking about, and look at it as an opportunity. But the whole talk of disruption is very interesting. And particularly when it's done for you, particularly when disruption is done the work for you, and you now must adjust.
I think the days of sugarcoating the news,
over.
It's done. You need to hear, like Martin delivers it, direct, to the point, and face the reality.
But that is the reality, though. Anyone who still sits back and says, I'm safe, I like my little bubble, it's all going to be good, it's never going to be good again. It's never going to be that level. It can be better, but you can't allow yourself just to say, well, this is all I'm going to do, and I'm not going to change things. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to probably happen again in our lifetime, and be prepared for it now. We've kind of had a warning shot fired. Let's take notice of it and catch a wake up.
A big warning shot. But what I liked what he said was, when you're in an airline, you have this spike of enthusiasm, and your learning curve is very high when you get into your airline job. And your next big advancement in that airline is to command, from the right seat to the left seat. You know, you're locked in seniority, and that's it. Once you've got that command, you hopefully stay in that position. But there's no real further advancement. You might go from, you know, short haul, regional to long haul. It's fine, but the flying stays the same. You have more cups of coffee and more food on the flight, but it's ultimately that's all you can do. And what he's saying is, in the business world, this progression is far more evident. You can progress and keep progressing, and there's far more layers of areas that you can expand into. Whereas as an airline pilot, and he's right, you know, you work hard to get into the left seat, and once you're in the left seat, well, now what's next? You can become an instructor, a simulator instructor, a management pilot, but ultimately you in a very shallow progression for the rest of your career. And I never liked that about flying, if I'm being honest. That was one of the things where it was a bit of a negative. You know, what can you do next? Whereas in the business world, more to do.
It kind of reminds me of something that I saw when I was watching Kung Fu Panda with my son the other day.
As you would
as
do.
you do.
Exactly. That's how I roll nowadays. But the sensei says to this bear, if you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are right now. And that struck a chord. It's like, it's exactly what we need to be thinking right now.
And any quote out of Kung Fu Panda is a quote you listen
It's
to.
legit.
It's more legit than News 24.
Well, let's end it there on Kung Fu Panda.
Excellent, guys.
We back next week, every Friday. Hopefully next week, guys, we're in a different studio. Those of you that haven't realized,
No, this is real.
Yeah, we've moved studios every week since we started. But next week, hopefully, a slightly different setup. And we're looking at improving all the time. We're trying to improve microphone, sound quality, all that sort of stuff. So that's quite exciting. And we're back next Friday. Enjoy it. Travel, support local, support your aviation industry, support tourism industry. Hashtag support aviation. Hashtag we are aviation. See you next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Have a great weekend.
Well, that's all for this week, folks. Thanks for listening and for your continued support. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and pass the show on to your friends, your families, and your colleagues. If you'd like to get in touch with us, my email address is in the show details. Stay positive, keep the passion alive, and we'll see you next week. Cheers for now.